just have a...
What?
There you go. I just wanted to see if your mic was going to work.
Do I want to see if I'm weird? Hey, Angry Dave.
There you go. And then when I talk, it comes up.
And then when I'm talking, it's still going.
Right, okay, so we should be at a point where it can hear all of us. And we should be all right and good to go now.
Happy days.
So, yeah, this is what you call a basic setup. But I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's exactly
That's literally...
It's a scratch build.
That is literally exactly what I would refer to as a basic setup. Is that any good? Can you sort of see that?
You need to sort of just come across.
Look, at the end of the day, if we move in any way, the camera's going to fall over.
Yeah, that'll do you. That will literally do you.
Right, okay, so we've... basic setup and it all falls apart. Right, so yeah, we've sort of got it. So, basically, I think we should start by saying welcome to the first Sunday League Pundits podcast, where basically 3 friends that played Sunday League have all got an opinion on football, and obviously our opinion is more important than everybody else's, as it is, because it's football. So we decided just to get together, have a bit of a chat, and moan about, well, everything, really. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Stretch, and I'm an Arsenal fan. And this guy to my right...
It's James. I support Southampton. And to my right...
And hiding off camera, Angry Dave, and I'm a Leeds fan.
Otherwise known as Tin Ribs. So if you ever say Tin... there you go. Camera doesn't like
Once
it.
again.
So yeah, if you ever say Tin or Tin Ribs, then that is Angry Dave. And James will quite often be referred to as Jim Jam. But yeah, so we've got Leeds, we've got Saints, and we've got Arsenal. We've got some very strong opinions. And that's basically what we're here just to do, is just to talk about football and discuss our feelings on what is happening. So let's start with you.
Oh,
Tin Ribs, Angry Dave. Leeds, how do you feel about Leeds this season?
Actually, you know what? Quite good. We seem to lose silly games, silly mistakes, like the other night against Stoke. Bamford wins us a penalty, great. And then Bamford steps up, and before he's even hit the ball, I've gone, he's going to fucking hit it over. And sure enough, he did exactly that. So, I like Bamford for a lot of reasons, but I do think his time is over. And I think it's time we...
like you...
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. No,
okay.
seriously.
To be honest, that took a bit of a twist.
I'm sick of us paying his sick bill, to be honest. It's like he'll give us 2 good games, then he'll have like 4 months out, and then he'll come back, be crap for a while, and then so I like him. Don't get me wrong, nothing against him as a person, and he has done a good service. But frankly, let's be honest, he spends more time on the surgical bench than he does on the pitch, and when he's on the pitch, he's just not as good as the other people.
So he's not the same player since he's had his injury now.
No.
And I mean, I've seen some Leeds games, you know, being in the Championship, watching football regularly now. I've seen some Leeds games. Pirro, who I wanted Southampton to sign, he's been phenomenal for Leeds, banged in a few straight away. And obviously, Bamford's not going to compete with somebody who's scoring goals.
He's not. They're too, and it's like everyone talks about what Bamford does off the ball. Well, that's great, but Rutter is doing everything he does off the ball, but better. He's literally done 2 assists where he's got it practically on the edge of our area, turned a couple of players, and played the perfect long pass to Somerville, who's already going, and then we scored from that. So it's just like Bamford has become obsolete.
Wow. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that.
I bet you weren't.
I really wasn't. So basically, to summarise, you're quite happy, but you want a new striker.
No, I'm happy with the strikers we've got.
Apart from Bamford.
But he's on the bench. So.
Oh,
He didn't even start.
Well, that's fair enough.
I do want to see Jed Spence though. We signed him. He looked really good in his debut. Like came off the bench, looked really good. The problem was he's been injured since.
He was superb at Forest.
Yeah.
The Spurs ruined him.
I cannot wait to see what he comes out at. I think this is a couple of weeks away now, but I'm buzzing for him. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And I'm really happy with Byram. Sam Byram. What an absolute revelation he's been. Plays left back for us. He's a right back, but he's playing left back. And we got him on a free, on a 1-year contract, and he's been absolutely sensational. He's been the player we've been
probably
missing.
Extend his contract then.
Oh God, yeah, I hope they do. He's been like the player we've been missing for like 3 seasons. So
can't argue with that, can you? So do you reckon you'll bounce straight back up then?
I'm going to be bold. I've been saying for a while I think we'll still win the league.
Oh, you're going to win it outright?
I know Leicester are running away with it right now, but we got them Friday. That'll be our true test. But at the end of the day, it's a championship. It's not the short term. It's long term. We've seen many teams start to run away with it at the start of the season, and they come like fifth.
It is a long old
It's a
slog,
long
isn't it?
season, and
It's
they're
a
still in
long slog.
cups, and yeah, it's. I don't think it's anywhere near set in stone yet. Same with Ipswich. Everyone's on about how well Ipswich are doing, but they ain't all that.
No, we need Ipswich to drop off, and I see
They
them
will.
being the team that are dropping off. I
Yeah,
don't
but-
see Leicester dropping off. They've just been something
Yeah.
different. Even when they've had a bad game, they've gone away and won the game,
I think-
and that's the big difference.
I think
that
the other thing about,
other
like,
teams
for
haven't
example, Southampton and Leeds, where we went down and we lost most of our team. I mean, Leeds is literally a rebuild. Southampton are pretty much like, what, about 60% of your team's new?
yeah, it's a completely new
Whereas
setup,
Leicester
new
is,
manager.
it's all Premiership players. Leicester are literally down. Oh, we just kept our team. So they do have an advantage, but I see them dropping points. I mean, Christ, they drop points against Hull.
And
Hull.
you've only just gone down though yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, but all our players ran off on loans, didn't they? Like, oh, the first plane out. One of them didn't even wait. He was literally out the ground on a plane.
The thing that Leicester did,
That's rough, though.
I don't know if you noticed it with Leicester, that when the transfer window first started, as soon as it got relegated, Leicester sold their players, like
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes, he was probably their best
Maddison.
player. Great, Maddison. Dead in the transfer window. And then he went off, they bought a couple of players, Harry Winks, good player, I think, for championship,
Championship,
level
yeah.
and low Premier League. But I think their big player now is Shrewsbury Hall,
Yeah.
who's a
so
different
sharp.
level. And you'd say, and I know a Leicester fan, and he turns around and goes, "Oh, we're keeping him in January," and I'm turning around thinking, you know what, clubs are going to want to go in for him, but then if
They'll
they're
hold on
top
to
of the league and running away
I
with
think they'll hold
it,
him.
he won't
Yeah,
go
he'll stay.
because he's going to get Premier League football next season anyway,
I
potentially.
mean, you've got to look at it from that perspective, and what you were saying. You've got the teams that are going to look at him are teams like Luton, Forest, Burnley, the teams that are Sheffield United, the ones that can't get goals. Now the problem there is there's a reason they can't get goals, they're in trouble. Whereas Leicester are going up, so for a few months, are you going to take the jump? It's just not worth it.
I wouldn't.
Because he's going to go up and he's going to get a nice big bonus in his new contract, new wage structure. So he'll get everything he wants at Leicester. So there's just absolutely no point in him moving whatsoever.
Nice. How do you feel about Southampton starting? How they gonna
Southampton started very well. Good couple of games. We got a completely new system, which taken a bit to even words. And I know that we went on a 4-game losing streak. You know, the fans were proper against it. It started booing, and
Were
it
you?
looked like everything. No, I trusted the faith. I like the fact that Russell Martin's going out and he stuck with his guns. He swapped the players around, and we're now starting to see his first team. His tactics are starting to work. We're 6 games unbeaten now. Granted, we should have won most of them games. It shouldn't be 6 unbeaten.
Yeah.
It should be 6 wins in a row because we absolutely dominated Rotherham and they had one attack, scored it, and you draw 1-1 with bottom of the league, and that's really frustrating.
But we've
as a
had that all
fan.
season. Look at Cardiff game. We drew 2-2. They had 2 shots.
Yeah.
That's rough, that is, when that happens.
It really is. But I mean, you look at it. I mean, like until we played Southampton, we'd lost 1 game against Birmingham, which was just one of the most awful games I've ever seen. A really soft penalty in the last minute, and they scored it. So yeah, it was an awful game. And until that point, we were pretty much unbeaten, drawing them all. And then we played Southampton. We're on a high, they're on a low, and they absolutely rolled us over.
In the first half. But
Yeah.
we killed it off in the first half. You
Yeah.
know, 3 goals in the first half, and then 3-1. I think the game
Yeah.
finished
Well,
in
it was
the
the same
end.
as us yesterday with Huddersfield, 4-0 at half time, and then we just sort of like.
A lot of teams do that though, don't they? If you go in at half time so far up, they'll come in the second half and just think,
Well, what's the point?
it's done now, isn't
What's
it?
the point? Like we were saying about the league is a very long jaunt, and you've got to.
But the point is, goal difference can be so important. If you can get 6, 7
Yeah.
goals, then why not? Because
But-
I mean,
See, in the Premier League, I agree with you because you're playing like 1 game a week, but in the Championship, when you're playing 2 games a week, resting legs is way more important. It's a
Is it?
marathon. Yeah.
Yeah.
massively.
Fair
You've
enough.
got to remember most weeks in the Championship, League One, League Two.
We got
they'll
40,
they'll
46
midweeks.
games, haven't you, down there?
Yeah.
You play 46.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And you can
That's
see,
a lot of
you can see the
games.
difference. And then you got 46. Then you get into like playoffs.
Yeah, then cup games.
There's
There's a
a
lot of
big
games
ass
down there,
season.
isn't there?
Yeah.
That is hard work for Championship teams.
Yeah.
Like I've obviously, just because of you two, I've been paying more attention to the Championship this year anyway.
Mm.
But whereas I normally wouldn't really, I'd just leave it. And there's some real tough games down there. Like, because you see when you're watching the games, I've watched a couple of Leeds, watched a few of Southampton's games, and they're tough going. Like even for teams that were in the Premier League, and like you were established pretty much in the Premier League as a Southampton fan.
Yeah, everything was comfortable, everything was rosy, and then you start that downward spiral, and then you're selling your top
was pretty
players,
quick though, wasn't
and then as soon as that starts to go,
Yeah.
it just starts changing. We got new owners, and we thought, great, we got new owners. They're going to feed money into the club, and we bought a load of players. The problem was, it became completely unbalanced, and we lost that core. The manager changed. I thoroughly believe if we hadn't sacked Ralph Hasenhüttl, I think we'd still be in the Premier League this season.
Do you really believe that?
Yeah, because I believe that he knew what it took to save the club from relegation, but
Wow.
it got to the point where he wasn't going to take us forward anymore. And Nathan Jones' appointment was absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah.
And thankfully the club actually sacked him. But again, his replacement was Ruben Selles, who basically didn't go on to win any games really at all of any note. I remember we were playing golf and we beat Chelsea and things looked good, and that was about as good as it got because nothing ever happened after that game. And maybe even with Nathan Jones, if he'd have given time, would he have actually won more games than Ruben Selles? That'd be hard to say, because
Yeah.
obviously he had a system. I don't believe he would, but I think that they just made the wrong decision. It was very quickly how he came in, and it was out of left field, this one. It was like, hold on, he failed with Stoke in the Championship, and now he's going into a first job in the Premier League because he fits the mould.
Was it, or was it because he was cheaper?
Who knows?
Did he fit the mould, or did he fit the price tag?
Well, they
'Cause,
say
like,
it's the mould.
if you can reduce wages in the Premier League, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? Because the wages in the Premier League are insane. Let's be honest, they're just crazy.
It's brilliant, and I will probably say I know one of the things that I'm loving about being in the Championship at the moment, and Tim, you may agree with this, is no VAR. It can be frustrating at
I
times.
was going to come on to this.
Yeah,
I was going to
It
come
can
on
be
to
very
this.
frustrating at times when decisions don't go your way, but sometimes they do. Like yesterday's goal against Birmingham, the first goal, he was offside. Bazunu, I think it was definitely a penalty as well. So you get the rub of the green. So we had it.
I was definitely
in our
wanting to
favour
talk about the
yesterday.
VAR thing because obviously we are, we have our teams, but we are obviously going to talk about the big major incidents as well, i.e. the Liverpool goal that wasn't that they released.
Oh, sorry. Someone benefits from something and seems to be going their way for 3 years, and then one decision goes against them and they cry. Deal with it.
Yeah,
I was definitely going to get onto it for sure.
and we definitely will go on to VAR.
No, I think we should go on to
more
VAR in the
subsequent.
conversation in a minute, but one thing I will say is no. There are aspects of VAR that I do miss. There has been some very questionable decisions that I'm just sitting there gobsmacked with.
Yeah, but there has in the Premier League.
Yeah, but I
Even
mean,
with it.
yeah, but it's a standard of goalkeeping in.
Are you still talking about the
refereeing,
handball
it's just-
goal?
Oh,
Standard of goalkeeping is terrible. You're
Yeah.
still thinking about Onana. aren't you?
yeah, it's garbage.
Imagine getting rid of De Gea, bringing in Onana. The disappointment United fans must be feeling right
Mate,
now.
I know that De Gea had his issues, and I can go into them, but when you've got one of the best shot stoppers in the world and you replace him with a guy who literally barely knows how to use his hands, it's just embarrassing.
It's crazy.
Because
I'd love to be able
he
to defend
doesn't
him because
fit the
goalkeeping's really
mould
hard. But
of a modern day
God.
goalkeeper
Yeah, hang
that
on.
you've got to play out from the back.
It's all good saying about the modern day goalkeeper. You've got two perfect examples. They played against one today. Edison's probably the best goalkeeper in the world. Why? Not only is he good with his hands, he can play outfield better than most midfielders. Alisson, great with his feet, great shot stopper as well. just Onana's just none of them. He's like if you bought them off Wish.
Yeah, and you're probably talking that De Gea is probably still one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the Premier League.
I bet De Gea's sitting at home just laughing his ass off.
And I think,
Isn't he
and I've
still
heard that
unemployed
he's
as
going
well?
Yeah,
back.
he's unemployed.
Absolutely
He only wants to play
stunned
for
by
a team in the Champions League. And
Oh,
I think
yeah,
he's a
but
little
I'm
bit pissed off
shocked.
because Kepa got picked by Real Madrid instead of him.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, what drives me mad is we went out and got Raya when we could have annoyed all the United fans and gone out and got De Gea.
Yeah.
And now we've pushed out Ramsdale, who for me is better than Raya anyway.
I can't get my head. Don't get me wrong. I highly rate Raya, and I do.
I did.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Until I watched him week in and week out. I did.
No, he was good. I don't know what's happened. I think there might be like a big club syndrome.
I think the pressure's got to it.
Yeah, but I don't get my head around why you would replace Ramsdale. That was baffling
I've
for me.
no answer for
Absolutely
that.
baffling.
If you're
no answer for
Ramsdale now, surely you're thinking, I'm going to leave in January.
Yeah.
I'd have been thinking that a couple of weeks ago. I'm
I
thinking,
mean-
like, this guy palmed the ball out against Spurs, our biggest rivals, straight into Johnson, who then just tapped it in the centre and Son put it in the back of the net. Okay, albeit Jorginho gave the second goal away, who, again, I don't think he should be playing for us either, but he's still better than some of the options that we've got. El Neni obviously is I'd rather Jorginho than El Neni because we don't have him.
Yeah.
Party's never fit enough, long enough to play 90 minutes. But I don't understand why Raya's in. He gave City, for me, at least 5 chances in that first half. Now, City being off on the day does not give Raya a free pass for me.
Yeah.
And then in the second half against Chelsea, he gave that chance straight to Cole Palmer. Okay,
He
he
missed it.
recovered. I don't want my keeper recovering. I want my keeper saving and doing the right thing.
But then there's the one in midweek as well in your Champions League where he went to punch in. It was only by luck the fact
went
that
over the
that
bar.
didn't
Dumb
drop
luck.
in.
Dumb luck does not make him better than Ramsdale. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Okay, Ramsdale has made 1 or 2 mistakes since we've been with. Raya's probably made more mistakes than Ramsdale, and he's only played about 7 or 8 games for us.
I'm just going to say this from a goalkeeper's perspective. Everyone remembers all the greats. Oh, they don't make mistakes. So I'm going to bring up one that immediately comes to mind. Everyone always bangs on about Petr Cech. Brilliant goalkeeper. And he was fantastic. Let's not deny it. However, a lot of people seem to forget that in the semi-finals of one of the Euros, in the last 80 minutes, he dropped the ball off a cross and they lost 1-0.
It happens.
It happens. It happens to the best.
Keepers make
It literally
mistakes.
happens to the best. The problem you've got is everyone these days has a scrutiny level, and scrutiny has become so much higher. All the best. David Seaman's made mistakes. Peter Schmeichel's made mistakes. Arguably one of the greatest keepers to ever grace the
Schmeichel.
earth.
Peter Schmeichel. No, I've never met a person in the world that has said Peter Schmeichel's not a fantastic goalkeeper,
Yeah.
but he's still made
Yeah,
mistakes.
but you know
and
who,
the worst thing about being a goalkeeper is your mistake will be costly.
Oh god, yeah. That's the. I mean, but like I was about to say, probably one of the greatest goalkeepers to ever grace the earth, Neville Southall. I mean,
He was great.
he was phenomenal.
He was brilliant.
And yet, if you look up Neville Southall's like calamities,
There's a lot of them.
he's had a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I tell you what,
But
the
I'd
guy-
have him in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
100%.
But like you just said, the problem you've got is keepers. If they make a mistake, it's fatal. It is fatal. And one of the problems I have when coaching is like you get these people who want to be goalkeepers, and they've got no mental stability whatsoever. And you just think there is no way you're going to make it as a goalkeeper because you can't take the pressure or criticism. And it's such a dangerous thing that we're in a society that has access to all this information. You've got your trolls on the internet, and you've got people who read it, and they literally sit there and they scrutinise on everything. And these players are going off with mental health because they can't take what some 12-year-old kid in his mom's basement's put on Twitter. And it's like, how are you making it as a professional footballer?
Do you know the worst thing about all this for me?
Yeah.
Is like all this trolling online and this being slagged off by like millions of people. That's new to us.
Yeah.
Because like we were part of a generation, like we're all from the 80s and the early 90s, right? So we're from a generation that if someone had an issue with you, it was here.
Yeah.
It was
Face.
personal. Like you couldn't turn around and say, "Well, I said it, but I didn't mean it to be, you know, offensive or I didn't mean. You meant it. Like if you said something, you were in a day and age that you only said what you meant because you had to, because it was to someone's face.
Yeah.
Like so, you couldn't get away with like me saying something to you and then turning around later and me going, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it." No,
Well,
you meant it.
that's what
You
Mike
meant
Tyson
it.
said, wasn't it,
So-
recently?
What I've got an issue with now is these players that are coming through now, these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds now, they've grown up knowing this thing is a thing. They've grown up knowing that people are going to troll them on the internet, knowing that people are going to slag them off. Like, you've got people slagging Haaland off online.
Yeah.
How many mistakes has he made? Like, I can literally think of one shot he's missed. Like,
He
some have
made
been
one earlier.
saved.
He made one earlier. He literally headed
didn't
it
watch
back
the
to
game
Onana.
earlier.
Like, literally. Everyone's banging on about how great a save it is.
Yeah, to be fair, though,
It was still a good save.
if you look at Onana's history since he's been in the Premier League, he could have just been testing him, thinking this could be funny. I could make a clip here.
Yeah.
So,
To
so,
be fair,
let's not be
is
too hard.
Haaland's second goal was pretty much identical, just a bit further left from Onana, and Onana was diving.
Yeah, dived under it.
He just dived away from it that time. It just sometimes
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just got to be in the right place, and
But I mean, don't get me
He
wrong.
was.
Haaland probably has a better success rate in like strike rate than anyone else ever. You don't really hear of him missing, but then he's missed a few, and he has.
Mm.
But he still probably goes home and sleeps quite happily with a big smile on his face, knowing that he's young enough to probably break every record of every goal scorer to ever step on the planet, and probably do it for the next 50, 60 years.
yeah, he
would have to
probably
do it for a
will
long
break
time
records.
to beat some of the records that are about. I mean, you look at Ronaldo and Messi; they're going to take some beating. Like they've
Right,
scored a lot
so
of
you
goals.
say that, but I actually saw a comparison, and it was I'm not going to quote numbers because I can't remember numbers, but it was like where Ronaldo and Messi were, where at his age they're like 70 odd goals behind or something. He's miles ahead of him.
Yeah, but the thing, he's got to stay fit as well, because one injury, that's it.
Yeah.
And he might not break the record at the moment. He's not going to break any records in England because
I
he's
don't
not
think
going to
he's not
stay
gonna
here
stay
long
long
enough.
No.
And the record in England is
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him
ridiculous.
stay around.
I don't think he'll
Rather.
even beat Shearer's record, even though his is not the official record, because there's players that have scored more in top flight history, like Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah, but you're ignoring all the snowflakes now, and we're going to a completely different thing where there was football before 1993, and a lot of people don't seem to realise
Yeah.
that there was football before
Well, that's
1993.
it. I mean, you've got to look, if you want to start going to things like that, it's like, off the top of my head, John Charles for Leeds. It's like his goal scoring record. It's like 150 something games and like 150 something goals. But you don't, it's like you don't remember these people because they played at different levels. And the league was the whole thing was different. So they talk about Leeds in the 70s being the most consistent team, but we only won it twice in like 5 years.
Yeah.
But we were the most consistent because we were always up there. But then Arsenal won the league, Everton won the league,
I was
Man
gonna
United
say,
won the
but
league.
you could say that about Arsenal during the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
We were the most consistent, or one of the most consistent teams, but we barely won it because we were always second fiddle to Man United.
And
Yeah.
when we talk football on this, we're going to talk about the Premier League era, because we're not going to go before that,
Yeah.
because it's before our time. Now, you may
Speak for
just
yourself.
about...
Yeah, I was going to say,
remember-
speak for yourself. I still remember Leeds
I-
in the 91.
I remember-
Well, yeah, I was saying that was probably right at the peak of your... You just started watching football then, pretty much.
10 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in '81.
You
I think
were 10 years
I think-
old.
I
You
think-
were like 7, because you're the same age as me.
I think you two whippersnappers seem to forget I was
No,
born in
92.
'81, so
I was 9.
When we...
83.
83. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm 84, so, you know...
you look good for your age.
Yeah.
I don't.
I was born in '81, so I remember sort of '86, '87, '88 because I went to a lot of football and I experienced a lot of football. So I do remember a lot before the Premier League. Like I remember Alan Smith and Paul Merson and Paul Davis and like we had such an amazing team back then.
I mean,
But
my
obviously
first
Liverpool
memory
just
of football
dominated,
is Italia '90 is where
Oh,
I really
yeah.
started.
Italian
Watching
90. I mean, don't get me
football.
wrong. Let's be honest. We all liked watching Italian 90 on a Sunday morning.
You're not on about the football, are you?
Yeah, what about it? They used to have a show, didn't they? They had what was it?
Go!
Yeah.
Lazio!
Yeah, I'm trying to think what was
It was a Sunday. It was
Yeah, that's
they
when-
picked a
That's when that
Serie A
particular
game.
noise became really
Yeah.
popular over
Because
here.
one of my favourite players of all time is Roberto Baggio. The guy was
He
just.
was
Oh,
great.
what a player!
I
He was
mean, one
great.
of my actual like biggest memories of football like ever is the USA '94 World Cup final.
I knew you were going
And
to
it was
say that.
and you've literally got Brazil, and you've got Italy, and you've got Baggio versus Romero, Taffarel versus it was Paliuca, weren't it?
Mm.
You know what I mean? These are like the best strikers, the best goalkeepers in the whole world, and it was just the best stage ever.
But it really was the best against the best.
Oh, it really was, yeah. And I
Yeah.
remember that final, and it was like the people you'd actually put your house on scoring blazed it over, and it was just.
It's what you wanted, because like now I don't even think the best 23 players in England are picked to play for England anymore. Whereas back then you knew that
Oh, yeah.
whatever team went, they were the best players in your country in their own position at the time.
Yeah.
They may not be overall, but at the time that the team was picked, they were the best in their positions. You don't really get that anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
Well,
I'm not
definitely
saying
not.
anything about Southgate.
Who said I was going on about Southgate?
You didn't need to. I think everyone if anyone actually listens to this, are all going to be like going, yeah, Southgate out.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
It's
in
like-
this room's going
I
to
mean,
be
to
pro
fair,
Southgate.
For a little while, I did actually think I was like one of the only people who thought Southgate was useless. And then I was on
Really?
No, it's just like, when you think to yourself, maybe I'm just the one that's got the. And I was on Facebook a couple of weeks ago when the team was picked, and literally every single comment in like the thousands was Maguire and Southgate out, or Southgate and someone else out, and it was just like,
Phillips usually, because he hasn't played.
Yeah, and
How can
Jordan
you pick somebody for
Henderson as well.
England?
I got no issues with Henderson.
I mean, at least
I do.
Henderson,
He's a twat.
at least Henderson's played football. That was very definitive.
Yeah, I was going to say,
There was
that was
just-
like right out there. That was just
There was no wiggle room in that
You know,
ball. He's a
I
brick
just don't
and that's
like
it.
him. I hate him because
you should have
I
made it more
just-
obvious.
I know, but there's that
I
thing,
know, well, yeah.
Jesus
and I
Christ.
think it comes down to when he was lifting trophies for Liverpool, because I didn't like Liverpool winning the trophy anyway, and he's got that smug look about him. And I just
So what have you got against
hate him.
Liverpool?
I don't know.
The team,
It's just
the city, the
I don't
team, the
it's the
people,
fans. It's the fans
The
because
fans.
they think that they're bigger than they are. They think everything should be
Yeah,
pro
but
them at all
I'm-
times.
If anybody listens to this, right, you are going to have to prepare
Yeah,
for all
this
the
is-
hassle.
this is-
Although,
yeah.
I am 100% with you. I don't like Liverpool just because of the
I'm
fans.
just going to say one thing though. There is a and to a certain extent, I think Leeds definitely come under this bracket. But it's like you look at teams like Liverpool, Man United, and the fans truly believe that they're like the biggest clubs on the planet. They were 20 years ago.
Right,
10
okay,
years
so
ago.
I'm Newcastle
And-
are in that.
Well,
But-
hang on. I just
but-
want to point one thing out about Newcastle, and this is my slight defence to Newcastle.
Right,
Newcastle are a big club in the sense that they pack out their stadium every week,
okay.
and their fans go all over. They have
Okay.
got one of the best away records for fans. However, when was the last time they actually won anything?
Right.
Can we class them as a big team?
I'm
How many-
going to
how
struggle
many
to name a
teams?
win.
How many teams are there in Newcastle?
One.
That's why Newcastle have got this sense of grandeur. How many teams are there in Leeds?
One.
That's why they've got a sense of grandeur. How many teams are there in Liverpool?
Wow.
Where's
Two.
the sense of grandeur come from?
Yeah.
I get that they've won trophies, and I know that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look
It's
at the
this-
Sorry.
It's this attitude they've got of being so far superior to everybody else.
Yeah.
And I just can't get behind a lot of Liverpool's thoughts, feelings, annoyances. It just fucking drives me. And all this, you'll never walk alone. They weren't saying that when they were burning Gerrard's shirts. Because he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
He wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And nobody could blame him because he wanted to win more trophies with Chelsea. And at the time, Chelsea had just been bought by a billionaire,
And
I-
Liverpool weren't winning much.
Adicon as well.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they won like the Champions League, but they weren't winning the Premier League, and that was his goal. He wanted to win the
Of course
Premier
he
League.
did. Of course he did. So he wanted to go, and then his family get threatened. He gets threatened. His cousins gets threatened, and then they start burning all his shit. And then now he's been voted their best ever player. I'm like, okay, he may have been your best
Yeah.
ever player, but he was there under duress.
That's proper fickle fans. that
He
do
was
that.
there under duress, and that's part of the reason, a very small part of the reason, why I don't like Liverpool.
Yeah.
I get that.
I don't
I
have
mean,
anything
you
against
probably
Klopp.
like
Like
a
say
game that I like, which was when they played Crystal Palace and Suarez was crying. Because for me, that was the game where they lost the Premier League. That
I don't know.
particular
The
year.
one that I mean, if you want to go on like comedy moments, you've got to go with the Slippy G moments.
Slippy
that
G.
is literally one of the funniest moments of my life. the week before, to use the words, the week before, we don't let this slip,
Yeah, don't let
and
it
then
slip.
slip over to allow Demba Ba in. It's just like, it literally is like,
It's someone.
that's comedy. That is written comedy in the
Someone,
stars.
someone from up above had a pen and paper at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you couldn't script that. That
They were
was
shining
perfect.
down at that point.
That was perfect.
That it was pretty good, actually. I'll be honest.
And it's like, on the same note, it's like my shining moment of last season, even though we had an awful season, beating Liverpool at Anfield, giving Van Dijk his first ever league loss at Anfield.
Yeah.
That was something beautiful. That is like literally.
I genuinely.
That's up there with
think-
the humbling of Man United at Old Trafford while we were League One. That's up there with that.
Oh, Beresford was it?
Yeah,
That was a good goal as well, to be fair.
Beckford straight through.
Beckford, that's the one.
Lobbed it over.
Beckford.
Yeah, beautiful.
Sorry, you got his name wrong then.
Oh, yeah,
it's
sorry.
offensive. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that they need to just chill out a little bit. They need to talk more about their team rather than themselves. Because they'll bang on about, oh, they're the greatest fan base and this, or you come to Anfield, this, that, and the other. And mate, the song you sing is sung by how many other clubs? Don't Celtic sing it as well, and Borussia Dortmund sing it?
Yeah.
It's not your song. There's tons of.
I'm not going to
I
lie.
don't know the history. I don't know who
might
was
be a little bit
first.
naive here. I didn't actually know that, so thank you for the education.
Yeah, I knew that.
They call it the
that.
Yellow Wall, don't they, at Borussia Dortmund? And they're there, Germans singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." And don't Celtic have it? Is it
Yeah,
Celtic? I know
Celtic.
there's a
Yeah.
Scottish. I could be a bit.
Could definitely.
I could
want
be a
the
bit out
Guru.
of tune there, but I think it's Celtic. I know there's one in Scotland that use it.
Yeah.
Borussia Dortmund use, and I think there's another one as well.
Well, there
So
probably
I'm
could
fairly
be.
certain there's another team somewhere else that use "You'll Never Walk
I
Alone."
mean, lots of people sing other people's songs. I mean, everybody likes to sing "Oh When the Saints." I mean, that's obviously our song, but everybody loves it. And one club that particularly love to steal other people's songs are Tottenham Hotspur, because they sing "Oh When the Spurs Go Marching In."
That's
bit-
me. I was
Glory,
thinking,
glory, Tottenham Hotspur.
Glory.
I was thinking it was
And
my job to
I-
flag Spurs.
No,
off,
I'm not
and he's doing it.
I do
I've
need
led
to
you
look
up
into
for
it.
it
I
now.
don't know who did the first Glory United, whether it was Man United or Leeds United, but I know that Glory Leeds United was done a lot in the mid '60s. I don't know about Man United, but I know that one's been around for a while. So yeah, you are right. A lot of clubs do tend to like share alike, whereas Tottenham do seem to like borrow from everyone.
But they take like the most iconic song and then they make it.
Yeah, but
They're
at least
very-
they're winning. Oh, no.
Hey,
At least they're one of the biggest clubs. Oh,
they might come
no,
close this
wait.
year. Yeah, just
They're
like
not
that.
going to come close
Yeah,
this
but
year.
they-
Have you
I
seen
mean-
them?
I mean, they almost come close when Leicester won it.
They finished third in a one-horse race. How do you finish third in a one-horse race? It's just
Look,
that's.
Look,
that-
they're doing well. They've got a striker who doesn't know where the back of the net is in Richarlison, and yet they're still managing to win games. So for the moment, they're doing
playing
okay.
against keepers like Raya that hand it to their winger, and central defenders, central midfielders like Jorginho that just sort of go, "Oh, there you go, mate. You just have to go on. I feel sorry for you."
I think they're a better team now
Yeah.
without Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Because
You know,
they've got rid of their focus player. And it's not the first time clubs have done that.
I said that because one of my closest friends and my son, thanks to his mom, support Spurs. And I said to them both, I think it'll be better when Harry Kane's gone. Not because I think that Kane's a bad player, by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he's a bad player. But when you have that focal point, that messiah
Yeah.
up front, when he's off, your heads are down. So when he's gone, you've now got 5 or 6 players that you're like, oh, was he the best? Was he the best? Or
Yeah.
was he the best? I'm not sure what's going on now because like they're all playing well. Well, they were all playing fairly well before, but when your instructions are, when you get the ball, give it him.
Yeah. I am going
How
to say
are
one
you
thing
meant
that's
to
going to
look
piss
any
you
good?
off massively, though. I think Postecoglou has done a fantastic job.
No, I agree.
Oh, I think he's done
I agree.
such
100%.
a good job.
I think he's been superb since
Yeah.
he got there.
I mean, he is.
fucking
Oh,
irritating.
it's actually really annoyed me that
Oh, I
we
hate
didn't
it.
get him in last season because we tried to get him in and he turned us down. And rightfully, he turned us down. But it does piss me off because he's so good.
It annoys you. I just think I feel they're above us now. And they, do you know, because I talk to my son and my mate a lot about Spurs, and obviously your phones are always listening. Now when I'm on Facebook, I get a load of Spurs sites up, like a load of their fans
Yeah.
forum, I don't want to be seeing that shit. But do you know what I mean? I've got no
No.
interest in any of the Spurs stuff. But it comes up and they're all like, "Oh, we're now 2 points better off than the Invincibles." I'm like, do you guys actually fucking listen to yourselves? Do you think you're gonna outplay the Invincibles now? They weren't even that good. That record wasn't as good as it appears, because we were smashed by Middlesbrough in the cup.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough, they were horrendous that season, and they battered us. We then went out and played an average team in a Champions League semi-final against a very poor Chelsea team. We would have won the Champions League that season, hands down, had we not been unbeaten in the league.
So,
And I believe that with all my heart, because wasn't that the year that Porto won it? When we got beat by Chelsea in the semi-final.
No idea.
Yeah, wasn't that Mourinho?
Was it Chelsea-Porto in the final?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. But I'm
So,
pretty
it's
sure
just-
whoever Chelsea played, and Chelsea won it that year, I think.
Yeah.
And they weren't good.
I mean,
it
I
wasn't a good Chelsea team at
Well,
the time.
I just want to go on to something here because while we're having that conversation, and that you're saying about how they all went on about like, oh, at this moment we're better than the Invincibles and blah blah blah. I've just quickly scanned back through who Tottenham have actually played this season, and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
I'm sort of
that's
like,
interesting.
and I'm like, oh, hang on, so you've got this great record, and I'm going to read it out right. So
Right,
we
do it slowly so we can interject if we feel.
Okay, so we start with a 2-2 draw with Brentford.
Okay, they were pretty lucky to get that draw because Brentford played really
Yeah,
well. That
I think
day.
Brentford were 2 up
But,
as well.
but I will say
At
that Tottenham
half-time.
showed a lot of ball.
Yeah,
And
no.
that is not something you can
So
normally throw at Tottenham.
I'll get that. That's good. Then they beat Man United 2-0. This is at the point where Man United were like shipping goals for fun. They can't
No,
still.
Onana was.
Yeah, okay. Onana was getting lobbed. What was it? 3 games in a row or something stupid.
Yeah, but,
But-
so they fairly beat
Yeah.
United.
So they fairly
There's
beat
no
United.
arguments.
No arguments.
Not
there.
really a great
And
side,
they've beat Man United during that period where they let's be fair.
We're
Let's face
awful.
it. What was it? 4 games when Man United were absolute shambles,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
all like to see that one.
And potentially they still are.
It was
Yeah.
fun to watch.
So yeah, it was good fun to watch. Then they beat Bournemouth 2-0 away. And let's face it, everyone
Bournemouth
beat
are not great.
Yeah.
That was a cup game. Then they beat Burnley.
No shock there.
Everyone's
Yeah.
beaten Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley haven't exactly.
Then they
pulled
beat
up trees.
Sheffield United. So far they've played what is that? 3 of the bottom 4.
What was the
Yeah.
score against Sheffield United?
2-1.
2-1, so again, not exactly
But
close.
what I'm saying is, so far we've played 5 teams, of which 3 of them are in the bottom 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
and United deserved to be in the bottom 4
Yeah.
at the time they played
then they
them.
drew with Arsenal.
Right
And
now,
that
the
was
Arsenal
a really
game.
good game.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
The Arsenal
He's
game.
the
I would like to say that I think Raya gave them the first goal by giving it straight to Johnson,
Yeah.
and then Jorginho gave them the second, so they shouldn't have
Yeah.
won that game. They,
Okay.
I mean, they drew it fairly. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was unfair or that it was wrong or this that. They drew it as fairly,
what you're
but
trying
they
to
were
say is-
handed the point.
Yeah, what you were saying was, what you're trying to say is rather than they earned the point,
They were given
gifted
it. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so then the next game was the controversial Liverpool game.
not really controversial. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I would say they should have lost that
Now
game.
we don't like
I don't
Liverpool.
even like Liverpool.
You say lost.
But-
They lost 2-1. If the goal had stood, it would still be 2-2.
But I don't think
No,
that it's
I
a
agree.
completely different game.
No, I agree. I'm with you on that because, like, when last season when Trent Alexander-Arnold palmed the ball forward against Leeds, and they were like, "Oh no, carry on." Yeah, but we battered you 5-0. It doesn't matter, mate. The game changed at that point.
Yeah.
And this is my point. They've had favours from VAR the whole season last season and the season before. They've had that nickname Liverpool for a while. They've been getting results because of VAR. And I'm going to use that handball as a great example. One goes against them and they're all up in tears. Grow up.
That's why we don't like Liverpool fans.
Yeah, but grow up.
Yeah.
And you got Klopp. It should be replayed. Grow up.
That's ridiculous.
Grow up.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my
amount of
life.
games that have been ruined. Or
But then
And in all fairness-
Arsenal replayed one against Sheffield United. Yeah, but we were bang out of order that fucking game. Like, they kicked a ball out so their guy could get treatment, and then Overmars went and put the ball in the net. That was us. We were bang out of order. And it was
Yeah.
Wenger that turned around and said, we'll replay the game because we were
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of line. This is not this is not like one of them moments. Do you know what I mean?
I
This was
agree.
VAR being wrong, that wasn't Tottenham screwing Liverpool over.
Yeah.
Now, I watched that game with a Liverpool fan that we play football with on a Friday night, and he was fuming during that game and watching that, and I said to him, look, Tottenham, they'd gone top of the league after that game, I think it was, and I go, so there's no way Tottenham are winning the league, because that game, they were awful, and they were very lucky to beat a 9-man Liverpool side, in which you talk about Luis Diaz's goal. If there was no VAR, it wouldn't have been a goal, because it would have been offside anyway, because that's what the linesman gave. So if there was no VAR, it wasn't a goal anyway. So you'd have to suck it up. If you're in the Championship or another league, that doesn't count.
I think the worst thing for Liverpool fans at that point, I can't believe for a second I'm sticking up for them, but the fact that VAR were like, yeah, it's a goal, but nobody actually said it's a goal. They were going right round the houses and going, that's good, that's good. And then one of them pointed out,
whole play, and it's like,
but you hear one of them point out going, yeah, but on field was offside. You're aware of that, boys? Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, a bit late now. Well, no, it's not. Fucking tell the referee.
But they're not allowed to correct their mistakes because of that.
No. You've just kicked off seconds before. So just go, no, blow your whistle now. Blow the fucking whistle.
Yeah, because they were asking for more time. They were asking for more time.
This is what we were saying. We were going, it's a cut, but we didn't realise, or we didn't know it was offside on field. They should have made that call. Regardless of rules and this and that. You knew that what you'd done was massive mistake. That's not like you've got away with an offside and you happen to have a corner instead of a goal kick. That is a massive, massive error, and they should have corrected. They knew instantly. As soon as the game kicked off, the guy's going, no, it was offside on the pitch. So we've just said that that's okay, and it's not. And they should have just gone, blow your whistle right now, and then we'll explain. Just blow the whistle.
But also in that game, you've got the first red card where he went over the top of a ball, which you can see why it was given as a red card, but then
I'm going to say one thing about VAR that really grates my shit, and that is this sort of focus. You love that saying, don't you?
Honestly,
slow-mo.
The issue I've got with it is I picture shit that you tell me. So when you say something, I get this vision of it in me. That's just not no.
Yeah, but anyway, it's this whole still frames and slow-mo because things look so much fucking worse in slow motion.
They do.
And it's like they should be showing it in real time.
It's the way they go to the screen and they've got a still of the actual connection.
Stills always look worse.
What are you doing?
I can literally stand up to you, put my hand into your face, and then take a photo, and it looks like I've just absolutely smashed you in the face.
Yeah.
I've not done anything, and it annoys me that that's what they do, because you don't get the real time. If it's a handball, for example, and you're showing, look, here's the picture, you can see it's hit his hand. Great. When it's a foul and it's something that's like a momentum-based process. Yeah.
Okay, so you see the referee walk up to the screen, and the still is the foot in the middle of a shin, and it's like you basically just saying, oh, this is a red card because that's where the leg's fallen.
Okay, so quick question then. As we know it looks worse as a still, how did Arsenal not get the red card when we were assaulted? Not once, but twice by the same player. How does he not get sent off?
I don't understand how... I can't remember who the Chelsea player was. Kovacic, yeah. How he wasn't sent off in that game,
there's a lot of
I do not
baffle
know.
my mind.
Just insane. I realise that I'm slightly biased because I am an Arsenal fan, but certainly the first one, for me, that could have snapped him.
That could have been a red card. He got a yellow, so he was penalised. The second one, don't think it was a red card offence, but it was certainly a second yellow.
But that's what I mean. It shouldn't have been. It was never a straight red for that second challenge. Not in a million years was that straight red, but it was definitely a yellow, 100%.
And that's the biggest problem with VAR: the fact that it is still based on opinion. And whatever they decide on the day.
I don't know if you saw any of the comments from Liverpool fans, right? Going back onto Liverpool because we love them so much. But the Arsenal game where the guy wasn't sent off. Right, Liverpool fans were commenting, saying that the officials are on City's side to stop Liverpool winning the league. Right, just picture the fact that Liverpool were in 6th at the time.
Yeah.
But Liverpool fans were going online saying that it's all a conspiracy, not against Arsenal, but against Liverpool.
Well, it seemed like that they had it one year that they were determined for years to make Liverpool win the league. That's what it felt like watching us. As
VAR.
They've got a lot of decisions in their favour.
You'd probably know it more coming from a Leeds perspective, and I come from a Southampton, that when you played a Big Six team, that the decision really did go in the favour of a bigger club.
The amount of like decisions against the small. I mean, I watched some of the other games, and you do look at it and go, how do the little teams not get the decisions, and yet the big team, like for example, I saw 2 identical potential penalties. The Leeds one got weighed off. Now, Anonto's not only just been fouled, he's gone off the pitch, rolling, and his shoes come off where the player stood on his foot and his ankle. The shoes come off, no foul. Almost identical down the other end, penalty.
Yeah.
And it is. It really is.
See, I don't look at it from that point of view because I am a fan of
one of
the Big Six.
You're the big scum. Yeah.
So have we watched the game today, the Man City, Man United game?
I didn't watch it.
Yes, I watched it.
So, the penalty.
Okay.
How many penalties should be given in a game of football for what was given today?
I mean, it was soft.
It was very soft.
But I've seen quite a lot given like that, to be honest.
Yeah. But you've seen a whole lot that have been worse as
that
well.
Haven't been given. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the biggest problem with VAR. It's either a foul or it's not.
So my problem with VAR at the moment is, and I think this is where the change is required, rather than have referees who are outfield referees on a Saturday and then on the Wednesday they're in the VAR, what we should have is we should have specially trained just sole VAR refs. Their sole purpose is VAR. They don't do linesman, they don't do fourth official, they don't do normal refereeing, because what you've got to do is you've got to train a completely new set of skills, a completely new mindset, because although it's the same process, the same rules, the manner in which you go about them is completely different. It's a completely different skill set, and they need those skill sets. And I think we need to have new VAR.
You know what would
referees.
be interesting as well, if them decisions went to VAR, that they don't get to see what the teams are, and they take the shirts away and they kind of do that just to see what decision they come up with. That get even more interesting.
I don't know whether I thought the same thing. Do you remember what I said when I said that? If you say something, I picture what you say. You've literally just said you want 3 or 4 VAR officials watching 22 naked men run around a pitch, then you're going to decide. You're just going to have little 1s painted on Team 1's back and little 2s painted on Team 2's back. And you just want 22 naked men running back. And to this, I'm sorry,
not quite.
I know my head shouldn't wear that. Right, I'm aware of it. I know it's a problem. Right, I get it.
That's
But as soon as you said you just take the shirts off, I'm like, This is not the football not the football I know and love.
This football's become a bit erotic.
Because it would make me interested if they didn't know who the team was, if they'd still make the same
I
decision.
don't think there's a way of doing that. I see a flaw in your plan as much as I do agree with it to a degree.
Yeah.
You're then going to have everyone shouting out going, well, they're making this decision and that decision, but they've never been on the pitch. They don't understand what the ref's going through. They don't understand the process.
But they're not supposed to.
And I'm
no, they're not supposed to, because at the end of the day...
But it's still going to be an argument that's made.
Not. I get what you're saying, but what you got to remember is they're not on the pitch. Their decision process is not being pressured by 22 men in front of them and thousands of fans around them. Their pressure is the studio and the reaction to get it there and the people.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
It's a completely different skill set.
Maybe it should be the refs that have played the game on the field that have got to say the age where they can't keep up as much as a thing, because obviously there is an age restraint. We can't play the same that we used to. We're all approaching our 40s.
Look at what you've got though. You have was it all the Man United fans that go, oh, Mike Dean hates Man United and this, that, and the other. So you're just going to have that carried on into the VAR ring. Well, he hates Liverpool anyway.
No,
he hates Man United
but you're always
anyway.
going to have that irrelevant. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all football fans, and if you get into football, no matter what level, wherever you are. I mean, I saw one the other day about what's his name? That man he went to Chelsea, Palmer, and they're like, oh, he's a loyal fan. It's like, as a kid, he was a Man United fan. He played for Man City. Then he played, and it's just like people having pop shots at people for no reason. The fact of the matter, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are invested in football, you've got a footballing background somewhere. So, like the whole thing about Howard Webb being a Man United fan and he's always giving everything towards Man United and blah blah blah. I don't actually know what team he supports. I mean, he might actually be Man United. I don't know.
No, they can't ref in the
but
top five.
The thing is, it's like you can't stop someone supporting a football team. So a ref will always have a bias towards someone. It's just you've just got to do it properly, really.
Yeah.
You've just got to make sure that that person, or if they're professional enough. I mean, it's like you do get people who are just professional enough that they can go, you know what, it's offside. It is offside.
Just make the call. Like me
Yeah.
and my mate that I was talking about earlier, the Tottenham fan. We can literally be on the phone to each other watching a game,
Yeah.
Arsenal v Spurs, and an Arsenal player will go down in the area, and even as a fan, I can sit there and go, do you know what, that really wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
Even if the penalty's given, I can sit there and go, it shouldn't have been a penalty.
He's
I
talking
wouldn't have
about
given it
Kai
as an
Havertz
Arsenal
here.
fan. I wouldn't have given it
Yeah.
because I look at it objectively because I've got the ability to sort of stand back and look at it objectively and go, well, I'm happy we got it. And
Are you
know,
sure you're not objective? Because I think you're talking about Kyle Havertz, and I'm pretty sure you don't want him to win a penalty.
I don't think he could win a raffle. To be honest, I just he gets way too many minutes. Him and Raya just get too many minutes.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
But,
But I can take that step back and
Yeah.
go, well, that wasn't a penalty. Or if something's borderline offside for me, it should be given. If you have to look at an offside for more than a minute, he's
It's on.
onside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's onside. And then they're going, well, we're going to change the lines. Well, you're still going to have the same fucking problem, just at the other side of the player.
I think the thing that it would make it easy, I think they talk about strikers' advantage and that sort of stuff. So should an offside be a foot, where your foot starts? Because a striker is obviously going to be heading one way, a defender
Right.
the other way. So I think that if
Do you
Your
know what
feet
do you
are
know
the
what the
point.
rule actually states for an offside? Do you know what the rule actually states? It is to stop or to prevent
goal
an
hanging,
unfair advantage towards the
Yeah.
striker. So if you are 2 millimeters ahead of the defender, does that give you an unfair advantage? Because they're getting called for offside right now.
Hang
Well,
on.
your fringe
I've
was
been told
longer
that 2
than
millimetres
his.
can make a difference.
Your fringe was longer than his, so therefore you're offside. Is that an unfair advantage? Really?
Mate, you're talking to me. Bamford put his arm out to point where he wanted the ball and they ruled him offside because of his sleeve, for God's sakes.
But
Where's
if he
your
scored with it,
sleeve,
they'd
though?
disallow the goal anyway. So
where's your sleeve?
No, they go from that point, don't they? Just above the, like where your sleeves are now, this green line.
But what if
Anything
you've got a
above that is
short
okay.
player that's
yeah,
their
but if he
sleeves
was
down
in the
here?
area and
Oh,
scored
mate,
like that,
he
it'd be
literally-
given.
Was
As
it West,
a-
I'm
as
sure
a
it was West Ham.
no goal.
And he's literally gone like that. It was either Palace or West Ham, and he's pointed out the ball's come through, and because he had his hand out, they
I'm not
ruled
surprised.
it offside.
I'm not
And
surprised.
it's like it's ludicrous.
But
I
I
should
bet you Michael Owen's reach out and Peter Crouch's reach out are completely different, and their sleeve is going to be
Yeah.
at a different point
Well,
if they
long
stick
sleeve
their
or
arm
like a
out.
short sleeve, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they always
So-
go with that
Yeah.
point, don't they? So, but anyway, just quickly going back to the topic of Tottenham and why they're where they are. So we got to the point where we've now got to the Liverpool game, which is
We
then,
procrastinated
Yeah,
a lot.
massively.
Jesus Christ.
so. But I do actually have an.
I'd
end-
forgotten we were on that.
There is an actual end to this. So the last 3 games,
Right, let's
they've
go.
won 1-0 away at Luton.
Did you watch that game as well?
Yes.
I didn't.
I did
Did
watch
you watch
that
that
game.
They were fucking lucky to get that goal.
Really?
It should have been 0-0 that game because
Wow.
it was
fair.
the most boring
But
game I've
again,
ever seen.
the red card changed it, and to be fair, Luton, they had a glorious chance at the end of the first
Hello.
half in which they nearly went into half time 1-0 up.
Yeah.
And like I say, a red card again, and Tottenham, they
Yeah.
ground out a 1-0 win against a 10-man Luton.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a lucky win against a 9-man Liverpool and a 1-0
Fortunate
close
1-0
game against a 10-man Luton.
So-
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
That's
So
2
again, another
games.
game I didn't watch because unfortunately I was working. Tottenham beat Fulham 2-0.
That was just a Tottenham win.
Yeah.
And then obviously Friday we had the 2-1 against Crystal Palace. Now on that comment, on that little run, I just want to point out that other than Manchester United, every single team that they've played is in the bottom half.
Well, we knew that.
Oh, sorry,
Don't
Brentford
worry
are
about
10th.
You mean apart from Arsenal?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
And Liverpool.
Okay, forget that. I'm an idiot. But
I wasn't sure where he was going with that. though.
yeah, I didn't either. No, but
They played most of the bottom half of the table
so
so far.
out of the bottom half, they haven't played Forest, Everton, and Wolves. and Chelsea, and they've got Chelsea next.
Yeah, Chelsea is next.
But they've still got West Ham, Brighton,
I mean, to be fair,
Newcastle,
we've just
Villa.
drawn 2-2.
And I just want to say
with
something
Chelsea.
about Villa at the moment. How good do Villa
Have you,
look?
very.
Yeah.
So good.
Have you got Tottenham's fixtures there?
Yes, I
Right,
have.
go to the end of the season. I think it's the last 6 games. Now look at their run going into the last. I think it's between.
Well, the last 6 starts with Newcastle away,
Yeah,
Man City at home,
yeah.
Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, and then they've got the
Two
2
easy
hardest
games.
games,
Yeah.
Burnley and Sheffield United.
That's their last 6.
You know-
That's their
yeah.
last 6.
So the first 4 of the last 6
Yeah.
are ridiculously difficult.
So even if Tottenham are up there, I guarantee by the time
I
they've
mean-
played them 4 games, they've probably
I'm
going
sorry,
to drop
Have
off.
have you seen their run up to Christmas?
In
Well,
December.
surely they're going to be playing the
Well,
big
they got
boys.
Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have been so weirdly hit
They
and
were
miss.
they were good against Arsenal,
But
but,
the thing
they
is,
have
they're
been
just-
awful
they're
as
so-
well.
Yeah, but they're so weird. It's like one
So-
minute they're amazing, and then but they don't like they won't get a few goals, so they look like they're struggling up front.
Mate, they were like that
But
in the
then-
game against Arsenal. They started great,
That's
and then
again-
all of a sudden
that's
just
what I was
stopped.
going to say with the
They
whole.
made
like,
if Sanchez made the mistake giving the ball to Rice, and then
Yeah.
the game completely
They
changed.
just
Yeah.
stopped. Yeah.
And they could have lost that game.
but it's like,
Oh, easily, yeah.
but Chelsea either look really good or really bad.
Mm.
But again, going on the whole Leicester going up, and you know, when you move on, Chelsea. If Chelsea come knocking, would you turn that down?
You'd like to think with the number of players that Chelsea have bought, Chelsea could play their reserve team, and that would just be the signings that they've made this season, and they'd still have a pretty good first team.
Yeah, but they can't score. And what I was referring to was the whole goal scorer. But anyway, so they got Chelsea next. Then they got Wolves, who they've started to
Hit and miss again.
yeah,
they can
but
be
they've started to
brilliant.
look all right. Then here's where it gets entertaining. End of November they play Villa, Man City, West Ham. This is going into December. So Man City 3rd of December, West Ham on the 7th of December, 10th of December they're playing Newcastle. Then it gets a little bit easy with Forest and Everton. Then they've got Brighton, Bournemouth, Man United again, and then Brentford. They're
Some tough games.
they're starting
there.
to look like it's getting a bit tougher.
But
So this
it's
is where we'll
kind
see
of
what
in
happens.
every other game. They're not got
Yeah.
that. They're playing all the big teams. They've got some winnable
I don't know.
games
I
in
think
there.
Villa, Man City, and West Ham could be a real stumbling block.
West Ham are really poor at the moment, and Moyes is very much looking like a man that's going to be the next manager to lose his job. They're on a right downward dip of form. They lost today against Everton, 1-0, and again,
I heard
they're
it was
just
a boring game.
yeah, it wasn't a good game of football, and West Ham, they're really struggling, and maybe it's their European football this season that they're just not. They obviously
Well,
lost Declan
that's what killed
Rice.
Burnley, wasn't it? When Burnley were in Europe, their league form suffered so much when they were in Europe.
Well, it happened with Southampton when we were in Europe, but we couldn't compete because
Was that,
we don't
was
have
that on
a
holiday?
team.
Was it?
Yeah. We were in Europe. We beat Inter Milan. You know, that was a good season. You know, when we had the top players playing for us, like the Virgil van Dijks and all them. It was a good time. How things change rather quickly, but there are a lot of teams that struggle. I mean, it's not like Liverpool this season because they probably got the easiest group in Europe they can have, so they don't actually have to play their first team at all, and they'll still qualify easily.
But you can't say that because the world is
I
against
just did.
Liverpool.
I tell you
I
what,
just
I tell you
said
what,
it,
we are going to get so much
Oh,
Liverpool
tell you
hate
what,
mails from
honestly.
you two. More so.
Yeah, I'm debating whether to actually give the email address out at the end of the night.
just an absolute ton of hate mail.
All you've got to do, right, is just put in the search bar, you just put negate Liverpool, and then anything that's got Liverpool in it won't show.
Just the
So it
pure
should be
hate
all right.
towards Jim Jam.
I'm
To
hoping.
be fair,
I'm hoping
he's
if
going to turn round. He's going to make some controversial.
Oh
comment
God,
about Liverpool.
it's
that's
only a
gonna
matter
be
of time
so
before
long.
Stretch says something.
yeah, I know you're both. I know exactly what you're both waiting for as well. And I'll be honest with you, I'm saving it. I'm saving it because I know if anybody. I mean, it's unlikely we're even going to get one person listening to it. Zach will probably Zach will probably listen to it at some point, just out of curiosity. He'll probably be the only person that ever hears it.
You know what? I might listen to it just to cringe at my own
This-
voice.
I've kind of got used to that now with doing all the golf videos that I've been doing. You do get used to it. Like, to begin with, oh God, will that dickhead shut up? Oh, it's me. Hang on, wait, it's me. But you do get used to it after a little while. But yeah, I mean, I think we and Zach will probably be the only people that ever listen to it. But if anybody does listen to it, I'd love them to get in touch and just, like, even if you're slagging Leeds off or slagging Arsenal off or slagging...
Oh, absolutely.
Just go for it, because, like, we're not easily offended.
To be fair,
That's
though,
what
I would actually
we're
like...
just here for banter. Yeah, we have some dislikes for
The only
clubs.
reason we're recording this, right, and I'll be honest, the only reason, the main reason I wanted to record this was because I love talking about football.
Yeah.
I love slagging, well, Liverpool off. I love slagging everything off.
Yeah.
But it's an excuse for us three just to get together and have a chat. We don't
Yeah.
do that enough.
Yeah.
And that's why I've sort of contacted you two about this football podcast, because I just wanted that bit of time just to sit and chill. We're away from the kids, we're away from the women, and it's just an hour just to sit and just do nothing.
Have your phone keep falling over.
And have my phone keep falling over, because
I'm going to
haven't-
buy you a phone holder.
do you know what? Actually, I'll do it next time now, because we're an hour in now anyway, so we're going to finish. But I have actually got a tripod in my golf stuff.
Oh, you absolute dick.
But I've only just thought about it, because I record for golf, don't I?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've actually got a fucking stand in there that I could have used. I could have put the other camera on it as
Yeah.
well, and we could have had a full
See,
on.
the one thing I will say,
Yeah.
if we are going to get
Thing, so
anything back, it'd just be a bit of feedback about, like, what we could change, improve, or if the people... You know, because at the end of the day, especially when you start a venture like this, it's always good to know what people think. And, I mean...
Or what they'd rather listen to. Like, if they don't want to listen
I mean,
to
if
you
they
talking
say
about
get rid
Leeds
of
or me
me-
talking about Arsenal.
I mean,
or-
if they say they want to get rid of me, I'm just like, yeah, fuck you.
Well, you're not on the camera anyway, so where are we going to get rid of you from?
I know, yeah.
You're not even seen.
I am the voice from beyond.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's like God,
Yeah.
because that would be a
I'd
bit
say
much.
more like the other end.
But I think it's important
Yeah.
that we're not always going to talk debates. We're going to have some fun on these ones. We're going to come up with a team based on Arsenal, Leeds, and Southampton Premier League.
I was going to
You
get
know
onto
what?
that towards
You
the
know
end,
what?
actually.
I will struggle with that because I think I've only got one Southampton player to put in a team.
To be fair, you've got to stick in three, but that's easy. And I'd
Stick
probably
in three.
struggle.
Right. Okay.
Damn.
So what we'll do is we'll go through what we discussed. What we sort of decided we were going to do is, between the three of us, we were going to come up with a Premier League 11, but only a Premier League. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 1993 thing. So we're going to come up with a Premier League 11 that each of us has to come up with, and it has to contain minimum of 3 players from each team. 3 from Leeds, 3 from Southampton, 3 from Arsenal, regardless.
Yeah, so
Now I can put 3 of yours, but then the rest of Arsenal, and that's fine. And you could do the same
I
with
would
these.
I'm
and you
not
could-
going to lie though. If we do it that way, where it's like the last 2 are like anyone, I think realistically, let's be honest, the other 2 are going to be Arsenal players.
Yeah, but
You look
we
at
have to do
Arsenal,
some of that.
so maybe we should do it that it is 3 from each, but the last 2 has to be your club. So because that'll make it a bit more different. So
Okay,
for example,
yeah.
So it's like
okay.
three from you 2. So in my
So-
case, it's 5 Leeds, 3 Arsenal, 3 Southampton.
Yeah.
Reason being, it'll create a difference because let's be honest.
And
As
it'll
much
create
as
more
we all
talking points.
Yeah, it will because at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that the Invincibles are pretty much going to heavily feature in most people's list.
Yeah.
Some of them were pretty good.
And the
weren't they?
problem is, like,
I mean,
Yeah.
they were
And
pretty good.
I mean, I've watched football. There's some Leeds players that I think have been fantastic players over
Yeah.
the year that I could put in my team very easily without a shadow of a doubt. There's a lot of Arsenal players. One of my favourite players of all time is an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep out, or potentially, one of my favourite Southampton player of all time.
And that's where I was
because
about
they
to
play the
favourite
same
player.
position.
And that's what I was going to come in with because, for example, we know I'm a goalkeeper. One of my all-time favourite goalkeepers is obviously Nigel Martin. But also, in saying that, one of my all-time favourite goalkeepers is David Seaman. So I've got a real, massive dilemma.
It is-
on
it
those.
is gonna be tough.
And you talk about goalkeepers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I briefly thought where we picked this team, and I go, okay, I'm talking about the Southampton goalkeepers,
Dave
and I
Bessen.
go, where do I go? And I'm
Dave
like,
Bessen.
if I go, you've got Dave Bessen,
He
good
was
keeper,
He was a great
fantastic.
goalkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Tim Flowers.
Christ, I forgot he played for Southampton.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So
completely
again,
forgot. He's
a-
Didn't
yeah.
they
A
sign him
good
after
keeper.
Letitia embarrassed him by doing that P-roller that bounced over his head and saying,
So-
like, "Oh, we'll buy him."
So we've got that. So
Yeah.
we go Tim Flowers. But it's Tim Flowers getting ahead of Leeds' best goalkeepers, which I believe would be Nigel Martin
is.
and Paul Robinson.
For me, Nigel Martin.
Nigel
Nigel
Martin.
Paul
Martin.
Robinson was a great
And
goalkeeper,
then-
don't get me wrong.
He
But
was.
And then
Nigel
you talk
Martin was
about
something else.
probably the two Arsenal goalkeepers that I thought of would be going back
Don't
in
even
the past.
don't even mention the one.
David
Lehmann. I
Seaman,
don't wanna-
Straight in there with
I don't
Lehmann.
want to hear his name.
David Seaman,
David
and
Seaman.
Petr Cech.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
And for me, Tim Flowers
I was gonna
does
go with
not
Chelsea.
get above your
Yeah.
four
That's what I mean.
keepers there. So when we come up with this team, I'm quite happy in the sacrifices that it isn't a Southampton
Yeah.
goalkeeper.
The
getting
problem
in
I've
this
got-
side.
Is that I will look at, like, I'll be honest with you, left back is where I'm looking at Leeds.
Ian Hart. No.
Oh
No, that's
Oh,
exactly
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's
Second,
exactly what
Ian
I'm
Hart.
doing.
For a second, I thought there's no way you can't go with
Okay.
Ian Hart.
Ian Hart. It's
Yeah.
a left back,
so
but
you
then
go Ian Hart, but I could go.
Ashley Cole.
Don't
You go Ashley Cole, and I'm going Ashley Cole because he's the
Scumbag.
best one.
he's a
He's
scumbag.
But
possibly the
I
best
could
left
go,
back ever
but I've
for
got
England.
two for Southampton that would very easily go, and the one that doesn't get in, never played in the Premier League for Southampton.
I thought he
He
played
only
left back for
played
you.
in the Championship, so he
No
doesn't
way.
make
Who's that?
our
Bale,
stipulation.
I swore he played with left back for Southampton.
No, 'cause he went
left
to
in
Spurs,
the
didn't he?
Championship.
When they were in the
So
Premier League,
that's the
he was at Spurs.
stipulation that we've got on this, that we can't pick
Yeah.
a player that has not played in the Premier League.
Got to have played for your team in the Premier League, yeah.
And
so
that's
Bale's
how
out.
we did it.
Okay.
So that's why I
Although that
can't
would have been a
Darren
banker
Bale.
for him, really, wouldn't it? That would have been a home run.
Yeah.
But I could go Graham Lasso, an absolutely fantastic left back
Yeah.
for England and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, but
I
go
love-
into
I love
temptation.
I would agree.
But
Great
he
player.
wouldn't be my number one pick, and the player that I'd argue for Southampton would be Wayne Bridge,
Yeah.
who is a
Another great left
fantastic
back, actually, to be
left
fair.
back.
I think I'd still go
So
with
all
Hart, but
three of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
could argue our left
Left
backs,
backs, yeah.
and each one
I
could,
wouldn't argue
and I
Ashley
would have
Cole.
I
said
won't lie, I've already picked my two centre backs.
I literally would have
it's
put
one
Ashley Cole straight in
Southampton,
the
one
bin.
Leeds.
No, it's Leeds and Arsenal.
Now you see, this is where you go, and I go, it's Leeds, and the Leeds one is Rio Ferdinand.
See, I haven't even touched Rio.
Who would you
Oh.
have gone? Well, let's leave that, because we're going to end up going on to that now, and that's not the whole.
No.
I don't know how
So,
you don't put
but
in
right,
Virgil
so
van
what
Dijk.
we're doing then is I pick 3 Leeds and I pick 3 Saints, and then I go with the rest Arsenal.
Yeah, fine.
You pick 3 Arsenal, 3 Saints, the rest
Yeah.
Leeds, and you do the same for Southampton. Just 3 of his, 3 of mine, and the
We're
rest
going
are
on the
yours.
fact that two of the players that I've mentioned were like championship players. I think I need to go and do some research on
I
Southampton.
it does give us a chance, because there's a couple of players actually that I've thought about for Leeds, and I'm like, actually, did they play in
Yeah.
the Premier League? Because you were like in the Championship for a
Anything
long
from
time,
like
weren't you?
obviously 92 to 2003. That's us, and then there's a few players recently, but to be honest,
Because I think there's one
Let's
that
be
would
honest, all the
love
stuff
to go in
recently-
for Leeds, and I don't think he did make it. Play in the Premier League would be Eric Cantona. Because
yeah, first season, 6
Yeah, I
months.
think he
First
did.
half of the season.
Did he?
Man United bought him about halfway through the season, January.
Is that when he signed? I wasn't
Yeah,
sure if
'cause
he
he
played
did-
in
he
the
did
Premier
play
League.
He
Premier
started
League
for
for-
us. The first game against Man United, he played for us.
Yeah. He definitely played Premier League
Yeah.
for Leeds.
Yeah,
It wasn't long. It definitely wasn't long.
yeah,
but
he did start in the Premier League.
play.
Yeah.
So Cantona's there as an option. If
Yeah.
you want to be that guy,
Oh,
fix it.
He's not getting in that team because there's 2 players that go above him.
I've
One
got-
from Arsenal, one from Southampton.
I've got 3 players I'd put above him, to be honest.
My issue is
Two of
when,
them are
when
for
I,
Arsenal.
when I think of a Saints player or a Leeds player, apart from left back, it's gone away. I will then look at us historically,
Yeah.
and I'm like for example, like if I put Letitia in there, you're losing like Bergkamp or
Yeah,
Vieira
that's the
or
player.
Cesc Fabregas.
But this
and I'm
is
like,
what I was saying.
fucking
This is
hell.
what I was saying. We have
It's
to do
gonna
five.
be
We
rough,
have to do
innit?
5 of our players
Yeah.
because otherwise you're pretty much
I
going to be
think-
like.
I think the interesting thing, I think it's easy for us to put in 3
Just to pick
Arsenal
3 Arsenal
players,
players.
Oh God, yeah.
and it's probably easy for you to pick probably 3 Southampton players and 3. What's going to be really difficult is what players he
He picks.
leaves out
Yeah,
for
yeah.
6 players.
That's what's
I'm
going to be
actually-
really
yeah, I'm
interesting
quite-
for
yeah,
you,
I'm
isn't
quite-
it?
But
It's
that's why I
easy.
thought about that stipulation because obviously, like I say, for me, when you start talking about strikers, I've got so many I could pick from.
There's a good.
I mean, I've
few,
got Brian Dean, and people forget about people like Dean. He was just absolute class. You've got your Boa, who's probably one. Yeah. I mean, what I loved the other day was someone put up a picture on Facebook, and it was like Premier League in pictures, and you've got like Steven Gerrard slipping over.
Yeah, your Boa was in there.
Yeah,
That's
you've got You know, you got
That strike
you've got
that
Dyer
everyone
and Bowyer punching each other in the face at
Yeah,
Newcastle,
that's-
and you've got all these things, and then you've got your Bowyer smashing one in against David James.
Ooh,
It's just like,
Lee Bowyer, forgot about him. He was a cracking
he
player.
was fantastic.
Yeah,
Like.
good player.
Yeah,
Lee Bowyer.
He got a bit about him as well, which I quite
I loved
liked.
him.
he's one player I didn't think of, and that's one player that would go in that I'd seriously consider as a
Unfortunately, not
Leeds
for
player.
me. But again,
It's something we can talk
but
about.
like I say, when you
time,
start
but-
talking strikers, you know,
Well,
it's- you've got so many good ones, and then you've got to start going, well, yeah, but you got Thierry.
It's just Thierry Henry, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh,
It's
Jesus.
just a shame that
Yeah.
Shearer left the year before the Premier
Really?
League,
Yeah.
so he doesn't count. Otherwise,
But again, this is it.
Henry might
Everyone's
be struggling to get
Everyone talking about like Shearer's record. What people forget is he scored a lot of goals before the league even started.
Yeah.
it at Southampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
He did. Right, so we'll wrap it up then. We've done
We've
over
chatted
an
enough
hour.
shit
So
today.
yeah, we've talked enough shit for a day. So what we'll do is we'll leave it at that, and we'll say if you do want to contact us and moan or criticise one of us or have a go at our teams, whatever it is, if you've got funny stories or whatever, then you can contact us, and the email address is sundayleaguepundits@outlook.com. So if anyone wants to get in touch, feel free to send us an email. All three of us will have access to that email address, and we will be able to dive in and have a look and have a read, and maybe even read some out on here if
Oh,
someone's
that'd be-
particularly funny, like slagging one of us off. That'd be kind of cool.
Always happy on that one.
So yeah, like if anybody has listened, as
Thank
unlikely
you.
as it is, thank you very much for listening. And if you didn't enjoy it, tough because you've already heard it. So
Yeah.
Just
too
don't come
late, too
back.
late to bitch about it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should have stopped ages ago. Freaking idiot.
Yeah, it's like that moment when you go, why the fuck did I not just leave halfway through?
Yeah.
Cash out while I'm ahead.
Yeah, the films that you watch and the credits come and you're like, I should have stopped watching that at least an hour and a half before I did. That was ridiculous. But yeah, so thank you very much for listening, and we shall be back again. Hopefully, going to be recording at least one a week.
Yeah.
And as much as this was recorded on the day that Liverpool beat Forest 3-0 and City beat Man United 3-0, I have no idea how long this is going to take to edit and actually get up. We could have 3 or 4 recorded before this first one actually gets released. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how long it takes. And we've got a lot to get used to. It is a very basic setup. It's a very new setup. And if you are watching on TikTok, obviously you can see we're not exactly in a studio. We're in a very basic home-built gym that is actually a shed. So it's not exactly professional, but you know, we do what we can, and we're here just to bitch at each other and complain about Liverpool. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, Tin Ribs and Jim Jam, for taking time out and coming down and having a chat. I've really enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope we can do this again actually, because I've really enjoyed
I'm
it.
already looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I've really
I've got some
enjoyed it.
thinking.
Yeah.
I've got to think about this team though. Seriously.
Yeah.
So what are we doing then? Are we going to say we've got to have the team by next week?
Yeah.
So
Bit of
we've,
ho- bit of
got-
homework.
We've got
Yeah.
7 days then.
Yeah.
So if you guys can be here for 5 next week on the Sunday,
Yeah.
recording this on Sundays, we've got to have our teams by then. So I've got to hope for some long days at work, so I can just sit there and
I've got to
go
do
through
some,
my
seriously
phone.
though, I've got to do some serious fucking research on Southampton because
yeah, because you named certain
Yeah.
players that just haven't been there.
But then
in the
I've got to
Premier
do
League.
research on Leeds. I mean, Arsenal's pretty easy.
I
'cause
can-
Arsenal's
everybody's
easy.
I
known.
can think of 3 Leeds players like that I'd want in my team. One's your left back, one's a striker. But then I look at the strikers I'm leaving out. and
I
I'm
think
like,
I already
oh,
know which
feel like
striker it is
crying.
as well because it's one of the strikers I'm heavily considering.
Yeah, I can well imagine we're on about the same striker. To be fair,
Would it be Irish?
No.
Oh.
definitely not Irish. No.
Ah.
But yeah, anyway, we'll find out next Sunday
Yes.
when all will be revealed, and you never know, we might even have an email to look at.
Woo!
To be honest, that would
Would
be
be
kind of
hilarious.
cool. But it depends whether or not I can get this edited and sorted before that. It certainly won't be done today because I've got football now. So I'm going to football.
Right.
But yeah, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for listening, if you have. And we'll hopefully see you again next time.
Ta-ra.
Au revoir.